At least 2 million Africans made a journey to Europe in the last 5 years. The UNCCD Executive Secretary had the opportunity to meet a number of migrants in the last few months, in particular on a visit to Agadez, Niger. Nearly 100 of those she met, both migrants and returning migrants, were young men in their early 20s with low level of education. They used to be farmers, but moved from rural areas when agriculture no longer supported them and their families. Unless we make land and the working landscapes more resilient, this is only the start of a period of mass distressed migration. The alternatives to migration are even more distressing. Without opportunities, young people will be caught up in a cycle of competition and even conflict. Local and regional conflict over resources. Worse still, we are even pushing disillusioned people towards radical non-state actors. 1 in 2 young men who joins a rebel movement cites unemployment as the main reason for doing so. Straight after this meeting, ministers will be discussing the implication of climate change and land degradation on security and stability in Africa. And how, by offering young people land-based opportunities, we can chart a more positive course going forward. Please do join us. So, I know we all have been doing our best until now. I'm afraid our best is not good enough. It is certainly not comprehensive enough. There are great initiatives out there, but it is time to pull these initiatives together and to set out our roadmap. We all deliver together for a sustainable and secure future in Africa. We have to start with the Sustainable Development Goals. We cannot reinvent the wheel. Goal 15.3 on land degradation neutrality should be the key organizing principles. More than 100 countries are engaged in setting national land degradation neutrality targets. To move from ambition targets to implementation, we need to align our resources and avoid duplication. In particular, we should go beyond the restoration targets themselves and at least consider the economic signals, subsidies and incentives, and land governance, rights and grabs, triggers we deploy to drive action. These have been integrated in our policy landscape. I say this because public resources alone will not be sufficient or appropriate. Attracting private sector financing will also be crucial. In this regard, we, from the Global Mechanism of the UNCCD, are working with private sector investors to support the creation of an independent LDN fund. There will be a soft launch on the 16th of November attached to the AAA initiative. It should be operational early 2017. What I think is valuable about LDN, land degradation neutrality, is that it takes account of the national needs and trade-offs. It allows countries to move to sustainable land management while also massively scale up rehabilitation and restoration of landscapes. But do this as part of the national development strategies and climate resilience and disaster reduction plans. To my mind, LDN is flexible enough to provide an umbrella for all resilience initiatives currently ongoing, as well as to take on board further opportunities as they arise. It can be applied to each and every level, from community projects to Pan-African or World Bank flagship resilience initiatives. The Great Green Wall is, of course, the most compelling example of one such transformative resilience initiative. Far more than just growing trees within a landscape, the mosaic of interventions weaves across the Sahel region and is helping countries achieving LDN, land degradation neutrality, is building community resilience, and is providing economic opportunity. It is a symbol. It represents hope that we can build safer and more secure communities. Countries in the region grow a world of wonder to stand alongside the most extraordinary achievements in human history. Last year, at COP21 in Paris, partners pledged an additional $4 billion for the next 5 years to support the Great Green Wall Initiative. We must ensure that these commitments are fully met.